Welcome to Talking in Stations. I am Matterall. Today we're going to talk about the Grand Prix that was designed by CCP. Astherothi is going to take us through all of that in just a second. And also we'll talk about M2, the significance of the M2 Keepstar being destroyed just a few minutes ago, what that means for the war, and what that means for the future. We'll go back and revisit that whole era, or I should call it a incident, I suppose. Probably the best way. All right, but with me today is Astherothi. How's it going, Ash?
Greetings, fellow Empyreans. I am Astherothi, and today we are sitting outside the Molia Cemetery, one of the nicest sites, I think, from the Grand Prix.
Yeah, a little bit about the cemetery. That is a tradition that EVE players have done for a long time, lighting a light that would burn for 15 minutes for a lost loved one or a lost companion in EVE Online. As you know, we're playing in a cyber world, but we're connected to real bodies. So when some of us leave this world, the character that we played in the game sits empty. And so to commemorate people who we've lost, there was a tradition of lighting the only light that we had, which was a cyno. And so CCP decided that, well, there was also cemeteries constructed by players, and they would, put notes out on cans and stuff like that. And so CCP decided to take that tradition and kind of roll it into this memorial, and that's what that is.
Correct. Yeah, Molia Cemetery was originally created by a player as a POS that allowed people to anchor their cans to commemorate a loved one, and that was destroyed a few times. But now CCP has put in a monument that of their own that doesn't have to be maintained by players. But it also appears that it is hot drop o'clock, so we should probably recognize that.
Yeah. All right. Hey, first I'd like to welcome everybody from Ron's stream. I was watching it. It was awesome to listen to the Smiths and to listen to Ron talk about EVE Online. I don't think there's a better combination of EVE with Ron and the Smiths and music from the 80s, my era. So that was nice. Very nice. And thanks. Also, I want to say a few words about Ron, who's with TIS for a while. First of all, you're all fans of his, so I don't need to sell you on him or anything. But for those people who are watching this on video or later, you want to subscribe to RON USMC. That's Ron USMC. He's a great way to learn about EVE Online on the nullsec level. What goes on in war, what the strategies are, how ships work, how mechanics work, and how people organize themselves during war. I don't think there's a better teacher out there right now. And his streams are great with a ton of really good personality. He's the best streamer of EVE Online. He's my favorite streamer right now. So thanks for doing all the streams and work that you do, Ron. We've worked together a few times, and I appreciate how much effort you put into the work. I literally am jealous of what he's got going, because he's just nailed it as far as I'm concerned.
And when he busts out his little markers,
yeah,
I just know I'm going to learn something.
Yeah, that's one thing to break out markers and to circle things and to put arrows and this or that, but he actually does good artwork. Like, it's actually really good art.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. All right. So let's get started with today. We have a couple things to tackle. What's going on with you, Astherothi, with the Grand Prix? What is it, and how do you get involved?
Yeah, so the Grand Prix showed up a week or two early, which has some from what I expected, which has some interesting implications, which we'll go into. So the thing that people that may not really have caught on to, the pirate events are usually like a few weeks long, couple weeks long. The Empire events are usually only like a weekend. Okay. And they're usually not really combat related. Historically, most of them have just been like, go to these Titan large collidable objects and shoot fireworks at them. But the one that has always been kind of a bigger deal was the Federation Grand Prix. And I believe that this is because it spurred originally out of a player-based event, but I don't know too much about that stuff. Either way, this is at least the second time that we've done the Federation Grand Prix. And what they do is they send you off onto all these long destinations. So like right now I'm in the middle of the southern route, And I think I'm about halfway through. They said each route is about 100 or over 100 systems long, and basically every given stop is somewhere between like 3 to 10 systems away. But you go stop by stop by stop. And like previous event, or like the last couple of events, there is a reward track that functions as like a meta reward. So let me make sure that you guys can see this okay. Yep. Except for everything's backwards. Awesome. Hold on, let me fix that.
Sorry. It's the technology.
Oh, it's doing it again.
Let me check it. Hold on. Maybe I could flip you. You look good, actually. You end up right.
Is it good?
Yeah.
Okay.
You end up right.
Well, if it's good, it's good. We're going to call this good then. Okay. So as you can see, like my current mission is now to go to Corazor Prime, which I just finished this one, and it is only 2 jumps away. So it's not that far in between each stop. Each stop is worth 1 point. The track has 36 points total. So it is a bit of you're going to have to move in order to get these things. Just like in previous, the last couple of events, they mostly provide skins with some accelerators, although in this case, the accelerators are unique. These are velocity boosters, both just normal velocity and warp speed velocity ones. They have an expiring at the end of the month. So, yeah. So you have to use them before then. The expert system that we got also expires at the end of the month, which again, we'll get back to that in a few seconds or in a little bit. But I believe that these skins likely will be difficult to obtain, may not be able to be obtained ever again, because it's very likely that they'll just choose new ships to get the Luminaire Zenith skins for next year. So it looks like most of the Navy ships. I don't know whether or not they'll repeat which skins you get each year, but in the event that they don't, this may be the only time to get the Luminaire Zenith skin for the Navy ships. Because these bind on pickup when they bind to you as soon as you redeem them. It's a pretty decent skin. It's existed before, but now it's been expanded, just like other events have. Yeah, so as soon as you redeem them from the redemption window, so it will apply to your character. Sure. To put it a different way, if you want to have this skin, you have to do this with this character, with that character that you want the skin with. But let's see. This also should be true with the skins that are part of the daily login campaign, which I think that there was an incorrect statement made before where it is 7 days of gifts, but you do have 12 days total, 11 days remaining. So maybe 13 days total in order to complete it. So if you miss a day, it's not a big deal. You can keep on going. I think somehow that got around, like some people were believing that. So I just wanted to clarify that you have it's 7 days of gifts, but you have 11 days remaining to collect them. And so that brings us to the Interceptor expert system. So this thing is really new. We've been talking about it quite a bit for the last couple of weeks. The expert systems give you skills that you would not normally have. So it doesn't care whether or not you have those skills. You can just have them for this weekend. As you can see, it gives me all 4 racial frigates to 5 and interceptors to 4, which means that I can fly any interceptor even if I am an alpha character. Okay. It only lasts for 4 days, but the expert system itself doesn't expire until March 30th. Those accelerators were May, not March. So we're actually going to get a couple of months out of those accelerators, not the end of the month. But this expert system does expire at the end of this month. So what that means is that you don't have to use it this weekend. If you collect it on a character, You can use it anytime between now and March 30th, and then you'll get interceptors for 4 days. There's another interesting quirk to this, which is the fact that because it gives you all 4 racial frigates to 5, that means that if you have any other Tech 2 frigate unlocked, and you just for some reason don't have the racial frigates skill trained up to 5, this will give you that for those 2. So if you've trained Manticore, but you haven't trained Purifier, and the only thing between you is a Mar Frigate 5, congratulations, you've got a Mar Frigate 5 for 4 days. It's a really interesting way for them to use the expert system to create unique opportunities for players. It's also a really good opportunity to destroy a whole bunch of interceptors. As CCP...
by the way,
somebody even posted...
I use this for camera ships, by the way. So, because interceptors with a cloak are used as camera ships to run around, and we use that today. So this thing already came in handy.
Oh, yeah. Alphas can use interceptors for the weekend. It's pretty great.
Yep.
But they won't be able to use the cloak. But either way.
That one I have.
But this plus the interceptors proving conduit means that there's a whole bunch of extra interceptors being purchased and used right now. And also thanks to the dead end pipe, and literally named dead end, there's also a lot of interceptors dying this weekend. It's actually really interesting because CCP posted, or like in a previous, I think 2017, 2018, whatever it was, that in a FanFest, they had a discussion about the Grand Prix. And one of the things they commented on was the fact that because they sent everybody into the New Eden constellation, like where the New Eden system is, that's basically a dead end. Literally, there's a system called dead end. Since they sent you there, that was a big choke point, and a whole bunch of people died. And they made a comment about this during the show. And this year, they did it again. So if you like ganking people, there are lots and lots and lots of really great opportunities to do so right now. If you want to not get ganked, there are some very basic things that you can do to not to make sure that the person that gets blown up is somebody else, not you. I managed to make it in and out without any problems whatsoever. But you never warp directly to a gate to gate. You never, you get a descanning of your gates and stuff like that. You're smart about things. You can get by. Now, I'm only halfway through, so I'm probably going to eat my words in a little bit. But so far, so good. Let's see. Anything else about the... there will be apparently winners of each of the loops, which will be put onto the monument when this is all said and done. But I'm not sure exactly what constitutes being a winner.
I imagine the fastest times for each loop.
Yeah, I'm definitely not getting that since I've been... Oh, hey, look, my task is to go to the Dorium II Memorial, which is where I want to go next. So I'm going to just head on over there now.
Yeah. So we described this yesterday. You don't just fly to the gate and jump through, because somebody will put a big, what we called catcher's mitt right in front of that gate. And basically a smart bomb and blow you up. So what you want to do is ricochet off a planet or off a moon or off some celestial. And that way you come in at a different angle to that gate. That'll save you most of the time.
And what I do is I do the same thing that I do in hacking sites, which is that I'll warp in at range and I'll open up my bookmark bar or my place bookmark thing window. And as soon as the Stargate's actual model appears, I'll hit enter, which means I'll land at range, and behind me, more than 150 kilometers is my new bookmark. So then I immediately just bounce back to my bookmark and then bounce to the gate if it's safe. And that way, even if I'm warping to a regional gate or a gate that's not near a planet for some reason, I still don't get exposed too badly. But you don't go in, you want to change your angle because, especially in nullsec, because of drag bubbles. But interceptors obviously don't need to worry about that. Well, correct, interceptors don't need to worry about that, I should say. So I'm about to warp to the Dorium II Memorial, which is actually a brand new one. Dorium II is one of the
I got you freezing for some
emperors
reason.
that a lot of people don't think about very much. He was the guy who actually won versus Jamil Sorum when she had to commit suicide. And so his assassination is what opened up the door for Jamil to become empress.
Check your cam, Ash.
I think that's about it for the Grand Prix. It's not that big of an event. It's a relatively small event. The next bigger event is going to be probably in April, and that's going to be the Hunt by the Guristas.
Let's see if I can bring that up. There you are.
So we should probably.
So the Grand Prix is really to show off these new statues, these amazing statues they have in the sky, in the space.
Well, it is really cool where like the Grand Prix does. It's not just these statues because like they take you to the Black Monolith, which is why you go to Dead End. The mysterious probe, which I thought was a very interesting one for them to highlight. There are all kinds of landmarks in Eve. And unfortunately, we don't have an achievement system or some sort of breadcrumb that would help you know that these sites even exist, let alone why they're here. And the thing I really like about this event is that it sends you to those sites and it gives you in the description as you're going to them, it tells you the description that you find on the site. And it says it in the completion too. So, I could scroll down and read the description of the mysterious shuttle, for example.
Oh, wild. These are great things that you could do on your own time, should you want to. And if you're a newer player, I think it's incredible immersive richness.
This just ended up being a really good time to release, like I said, even the last time they did the Federation Grand Prix, they sent them to, meaningful locations. So it just happened to be a good time to put in more of these monuments. So they put in the Dorium II monument and they put in the Kriba monument. And they also touched up the Mekios graveyard, which I should probably head over there too, to check it out. And some other places. There's been a strong focus on, polishing up and making the space of Eve more, immersive and interesting, and working on things like sites and statues and stuff for several years. But of course, it's advanced a few times. Originally, CCP was going to give us the tools to make our own statues, but ultimately, they've decided to focus on creating these kinds of monuments that stand separate and aren't turned into giant penises. Although to be fair, there are a lot of giant penises right here if you think of the Armageddons that way.
That's what I was going to say.
That's what I always thought was weird about the whole like time to penis thing that they say about like, oh, this is why we can't give you customization. Yeah, we can't give you customization tools because if we do that, then it'll just make giant penises. I'm like, yeah, but you made the Amar, so where's your excuse?
Well, in Galente, like, you get the Thrasher and all that stuff. Not
Thrasher. True. I mean,
not the Thrasher. The
I'm not sure where you're going with this one now.
Oh.
The Catalyst?
No, it is. No, it's not. It's
the Thorax. You're talking about the Thorax.
This happened yesterday. I was trying to think of the Thorax.
Yeah. That makes sense. Yeah, no, the Thorax is definitely suggestive, but it's definitely no Avatar and or Armageddon. I had to quickly check to make sure I wasn't wrong, and it's for a second there I was like, oh shoot, is that the Apocalypse? Oh, I'm going to go to the Kriba monument.
Right, so you have to do 100 systems per lap, let's say, or per city. I don't know what you would call that.
Per route. There's 3 routes. Circuits.
Are they all connected? Do you go from one,
called.
Like you finish one route and it's near the beginning of another?
I think that they all start and end at Luminaire.
Okay.
It's just where you go from there.
It's almost like hiking and you get to the parking lot and there's 3 different paths to take from that. Okay. Now, Kriba is actually a player, an old player. Everybody knows him from before when the game was
You say everybody knows him, but I actually just got
smaller.
asked who is Kriba today.
Yeah, yeah. I was going to say when the game was smaller and the game was a lot smaller at one point, and he was somebody that built third-party software that really helped the community and made a good name for himself. Besides being an honest guy and just being all about mining, I think he even had a tattoo of Veldspar on him. You know, he was just one of the early heroes of the players, well liked by just about everybody and trusted. So he became a third-party broker, which is kind of an honor. It means that you're like trustworthy enough to hand your goods, and you know you won't get screwed over by this guy. And that's something important in this game, where you're supposed to trust.
He more or less
one.
invented the concept of third-party brokerage in EVE. I mean, like he's the first person to do it on any kind of scale. When other people did it, they were copying him, effectively.
Right. I'm not sure that's 100% true, but yes, he was the first one that he's the first one that was known for it. So maybe it is that way. But I think there was other
public. I mean, there were obviously like private trades and stuff like that. But he liked to mine, and he was very helpful to a lot of people throughout the years, and was able to pull together good graces fairly frequently. I remember when I first started playing, he actually owned a system in Providence that was just his. Eventually, it was taken, but people tried to defend it for him. But he was that kind of dude. And as you pointed out, he made a lot of tools, third-party tools. I think EVE Offline is probably one of the most frequent ones in the modern day that I deal with.
Yeah, you're right.
But he's actually probably, honestly, his biggest impact in the actual game, besides the statue, is the fact that the modern day rules for capitals in HiSec exist effectively because of Kriba. He was a major industrialist and had the Veldknot, which was a dreadnought that he mines in HiSec with, and he was pretty well known for that. So when it came down that there'd be like the rules came like basically banning capitals from HiSec by any stretch of the imagination, there was a caveat carved out. There was a Kriba-sized caveat that allows you to have a capital in HiSec, but you're not allowed to do anything with it besides mine. So, in fact, Kriba was, when the statue was put up earlier this week, he was out in Amar Prime with the Veldknot, standing by his statue with his ship. So that's why in this statue you can see he's got a dreadnought in the mining belts, because that's what he mines in.
It's called the Veldknot.
Yes.
By the way, did you say this is in Amar, the statue?
This is Amar Prime, yeah.
Wow.
Which is where his Veldknot is. And it can't go anywhere else.
No.
So that's where it is.
That's cool. That's really neat. And it gives people something to aspire to if they're players in this game.
Yeah. And this is actually the second statue like this that is specifically designed for a player, made by CCP. There's also the Katia Sa'i monument outside of Sasio, or in Sasio.
Yeah.
On the first Stargate that she
started the journey.
It's always so complicated.
She.
Gender issues when it comes to EVE characters become so complicated.
We talk about the character, so she.
I know.
Yeah. And
but I've actually met the player, so
yeah,
it makes it challenging.
Yeah, I know.
Which, by the way, he is now the CEO of Signal Cartel, so congratulations to him.
Yeah.
/ her. Whatever.
Anyway, that's Katya is the patron saint kind of explorers. So it's neat. They're celebrating, not cutthroat pirates, but they're celebrating kind of the lighter side of the spectrum as far as good and evil. I assume eventually we'll get statues of people who are notorious and that sort of thing. But right now it seems like it's players who have done amazing, long-term, very difficult things to do. One is cultivate goodwill and trustworthiness, which is incredibly hard to do in EVE Online. And the other one is to do the longest voyage possible without ever getting destroyed. So those are remarkable achievements.
Yeah. Well, so I see this as being a big sign of almost like the disconnect between how CCP sees the game and how players see the game. And so I see these kind of monuments almost as a message or as a reinforcement of of how they see the game, which is that, you know, when we have players, we see like, oh, well, it's null wars and it's the big flashy stuff. That's what gets in the news. That's what people care about, all that kind of stuff. But you know, when CCP talks about the game itself, you know, we have things like the Love of Exploration video that just recently came out, or you know, this monument and the other monument. They explicitly love the sandbox nature of the game, which means the things that are not like who can take the most territory or who can, you know, do the challenge that CCP put forward the best. What really excites people is people coming into this world and creating their own story from scratch. Nobody told Katya Sai to do that, to go to every single system in the game without being killed. No one told Kriba to build the Veldnot. There's no reason why they did it beyond the fact that they did it, and therefore they created new meaning within the sandbox. And that is something that CCP really cares about, is us actually doing things that are outside of the normal narratives, outside of the normal bounds of what people do, not the meta fleet fights, not the, you know, those sorts of things. That stuff is good. That's the engines that churn things, but it's the everything from espionage to the peaceful person that, you know, maps out a whole cluster of things and watches, you know, the gates go by. Like, there's a lot of people that still love this game as just a really awesome spaceship space game. And a lot of those people do work for CCP.
Yeah, we should also know that these type of players that are celebrated did this a long time ago. So it's not something that they're not rewarding players that have been doing things for the last 5 years. These are like, you know, decades long.
Well, Katya Sai, the monument was put up within about a month of the task being finished.
But the task started in 2009.
Correct.
Yeah.
Yes,
so
that's true.
It was a long effort. So it's not just something that happened one time. These are like, I think you would think of them in terms of a long-term problem that they solved or a long-term thing that they did. Anyway, but that's them. And this is Kriba, well known to a lot of old players, maybe not to the new generation. One more thing about third partying. If you want to do third partying stuff, if you have something you need to trade that's super valuable and you need a broker, look up Ron USMC. That's something he's interested in doing. I have known that for a while. And if anybody asks me who's a trustworthy person, I will direct them to Ron. So do that. Now, that has become a job that is very rare now because Keepstars have made it easy to trade valuable ships that were too big to park anywhere else. So that third party thing isn't nearly as useful as it used to be. But there's still some things like territory, sometimes swapping hands, or Fortizar swapping hands, that kind of stuff. That still needs a person to transact that's trustworthy. Where are we going now?
I went to the Throne Worlds, but then it told me to go to the Kriba next, so I had to go back to Kriba.
All right, so let's talk about some of the so you race around over 100 per route, 100 jumps, which is a lot. What's the problem here? Because this has been called like a feeding frenzy for smart bombers.
Well, as you can see, my next destination is actually going to take me into Losec, so that's where it gets fun.
Let's see if we survive that.
And in particular, the dead end system, which is where the black monolith is, and the New Eden system are both like total dead ends, and also there's only one way like through there. There's like it's a one jump chain, so it makes it really easy to choke point it and, you know, smart bomb everybody who just warps gate to gate.
Yeah. And by the way, the when there's one way in and one way out, that's considered a pipe, right? Because you're in a pipe, you don't have options. And those are easy to strategically smart bomb, but a dead end system only has one way in and one way out. So that's incredibly easy to gate camp.
Yeah. And when I went to the dead end system, the other thing is that you still have to warp to these sites. So a lot of people are just warping to these sites at 0 and then just getting blapped. Even when I went to the dead end system, there was probably about 5 or 6 people just sitting there ready to try to grab me. So again, always when you jump through, you're jumping through the same place that everyone else is jumping through. And therefore, if you warp to a location, you're going to land at basically the same exact spot within 2.5K of everyone else that does the exact same thing. So that's where the trap's going to be set up. So your goal is to warp to something out of alignment to your destination target from where you are. So that way, when you land, you're not landing in the direct line that they expect you to.
Question: is there still a Eve Gate monument? I think it's not a monument, it's a wormhole, but it's been enhanced.
Yeah, there's no
right?
Eve Gate monument. You can see it in the skybox. There's actually no beacon for it whatsoever.
And everywhere in that system, I think you can see it, can't you?
Correct.
Yeah, so it's just a giant
like I said,
wormhole.
yeah, it's in the skybox.
It used to look like a glowing light, like an extra sun in there, but when they upgraded the graphics, they upgraded it to like a very much a wormhole looking thing. So it's like a giant wormhole. Mm-hmm. And Eve Uni used to take some of the little new players on trips to do this kind of a thing. And there were always pirates waiting for Eve Uni ships.
Oh, yeah. Well, there was a tradition a long time ago to go to the planet nearest to the Eve Gate, like in the skybox, and then just burn towards it. And then burn for as long as you possibly can, and then drop a can when you got there.
Yeah. It was like throwing the javelin, but you were throwing yourself. And then you would mark, where you landed. And you'd be surprised at where they were. And I think you could actually warp 2 cans, right? So I'm not sure if that's true, but I think you can. So you could kind of position yourself close to this. You just never get close to the gate, right? That's what the idea is. You just never get close to it. Nothing will ever change. It's an eternal. Right. It's eternally distant from you.
Right. And I mean, in lore, you can't physically get near the actual Eve Gate itself. Like, it is so bad there. They talk about the ship that's hanging outside of it. They say that parallel dimensions flowed through his ship in random eddies. Like, there's massive tachyon radiation. It's a bad place to be. Reality is breaking down there.
Yikes.
So,
by the way, there's a lot.
Now that I'm back,
they talk about the New Eden system or the gate in the book Empyrean Age. Actually, I know CCP wants to turn the page on those books, but so to speak.
I don't. I mean, CCP when they did the lore prior to Chapter 3, the entire hour-long breakdown of the lore basically was that stuff. So CCP does not appear to be trying to back away from that lore. I know that there are some players that would probably really like it if CCP did, but CCP themselves seem to pretty much be on board with the events of Empyrean Age Templar 1 as being canonical, to the point where they continue to make references to them.
Yeah. I actually recommend the Empyrean Age. You can get it on Amazon or something. I thought it was really worthwhile, especially if you're an Eve player. It's really good because you just relate to all kinds of reference points, and you get a much better understanding of the empires and a much better understanding of the technology of this age. There's still some mysteries to it and stuff, but at least
there's the Hyperion.
At least read that one. Yeah, and the sequel to that book is called Templar 1, which was the actual...
That's on Audible.
Yes.
Sorry.
No, you're right. It is. Not Empyrean Age isn't. You have to read that one, but you can order the ebook, so that's something, I think. But the Templar 1 was the sequel to it. Now, the first book, Empyrean Age, was released at the exact same time as the update, or actually the introduction of faction warfare. So it told you why the factions were going to war with one another. And then Templar 1 was actually a few years later at the beginning of Dust 514 game. So that explained the origins of the 514, and those two incidents were connected.
Well, it explained the origins of the clone soldiers. It actually does not explain 514, and we still don't know the answer to 514.
Yeah, you're right. They never told us what 514 is?
Nope.
Rattati would know, right? Because he was in charge of 514 for a while.
I mean, I assume probably.
Yeah. Are you getting ambushed?
Nope. I got away. So far, so good. I've now made it. So you have to make it to the site. So I bounced off the station.
Yeah.
Got to the site. They chased me to the station. But then I got to the site.
Yeah. So you're ricocheting off things. Okay. Remember, there's a lot of people who want to kill you, so you got to be a little strategic about it.
And there is a smart bomber on.
Well, this isn't for new players then, right? This is like actually challenging.
You can do, I mean, like, as long as you don't go into the low, like, I had several, I think I got 5 or 6 points before it started sending me into low sec. But yeah, no, there's a lot of people that are going to get their feelings hurt in this, doing this. I'm pretty sure.
By the way, it's not Imperium age, it's Imperium.
Yeah, so the Empyrean age, not Empire age, or Imperial, but Empyrean. I say greetings, fellow Empyreans, which confuses some people. But I messed this up a lot. Hold on, I can't focus on multiple things at the same time, apparently.
Yeah.
So an Empyrean, the word Empyrean being used in regards to us comes from the Empyrean age, in which the head of the Memitar delegation to Concord says that truly these capsuleers are the Empyreans of our age. The word Empyrean means angel. So in like Dante's Inferno and other places, when they give names to sections of heaven and hell, the land of Empyrean is the highest heaven. And so Empyreans are angels, those who live with God. And so what he's saying is that the Empyreans, us, are like the shepherds, the angels of our age. And that's why I use the word, I like that term for us. And so the word Empyrean age comes from that as well.
Got it. Also, Mattress WX reminds us there's also a novella, that's a smaller novel, by Tony Gonzalez, who's the author of those 2 books we just talked about, called The Odyssey. The Odyssey.
The Odyssey, yeah. There's actually a couple of them. The Odyssey is a good one, though, for sure.
Okay, but as you can see, Astherothi is traveling through this Grand Prix, which you can do by yourself or with a friend or with a few friends. Just be careful. In some areas, there are people who are waiting for fast ships to destroy them.
Do I get out before he kills me? I do! Yay!
What's he coming after you with?
A Hyperion.
A battleship?
Yeah, they smart bomb with battleships. That's how they get you. Because I'm an interceptor. That's the only way they're going to catch me.
I'm sorry. He was just sitting at the gate then. I thought he was chasing you.
Yep. Nope. He was sitting there and I was trying to get through.
Yeah, usually you'll see a double, two battleships together working it because it's much more effective with 2 battleships. Sometimes you can get past 1 smart bomb, but when you have 2. And they line up smart bombs, not just 1 smart bomb per ship, but multiple smart bombs per ship. And then
That's why, usually you go with a battleship that has 8 high slots so you can have a full rack. It's pretty devastating.
8 smart bombs. They take a while to reload, basically, right?
It was a cycle.
Yeah.
But yeah. Because the thing is that they need to get you as you're landing, because you're going to land and then immediately jump. So they need to get you as you're coming out of warp. So they can't just wait to predict you. They have to constantly be cycling them. So that way, no matter when you land, they'll hit you.
Yeah, it's crazy. It's like you think you're coming into a gate. Next thing you know, you wind up in your cloner in your underwear, totally dead, just gone. Like your ship's gone and your pod is gone, and you never saw anything.
Somebody commented I need medium shield extenders. I do have a medium shield extender. I was going to I tried to put on 2, but I'd have to sacrifice too much.
Well, this is where I think this is not for new players necessarily, or even novice players. This takes some doing, unless you go at a certain point where they get tired, fall asleep. Who knows? But
well, I mean, I like these things because it's a puzzle, and I also really like the fact that the challenge is players. Like, if there's nobody there to kill you, then there's no problem. I made it through a lot of the low-sec systems, and there was nothing even there to threaten me.
I agree, but the mixed concept is, hey, let's go sightseeing. Killed you. That's disorienting. If I'm competing in a race, killed you. It's like a pod race. I can understand that. It's competitive and all this other stuff. But if I'm sightseeing, that's a different thing. So I think it's a mixture.
They did give you interceptors. Good luck.
Yeah, right. Well, all right. Well, is there how does somebody get involved with this sort of thing? You said Luminaire is where everything starts, right?
Yeah. Well, you have your event flag, and then also in the agency, on the main page, there probably is. Hold on. Yeah, on the main page, there's the Federation Grand Prix and the new Bissell Proving Ground events information. And if in the top left corner under information, you should have a little flag, which is the events thing, which should tell you your first task. And if you click on that, it opens up the agency to this part. And whatever your next destination is, it's the first thing written in that this is actually something that took me a while to figure out. So like right now I'm going to the Mechios graveyard, which is in Sorum Prime. So I right click on that to set my destination.
Oh, good.
That's where the linked so the system is always the first thing linked at the very top of the description for each challenge.
Yeah, that's been a bonanza for pirates, right? They're just destroying all kinds of people that are following this pilgrimage.
Yeah. Well, I mean, yeah. And even as I was going through, like I saw in any given system, I saw at least 2 or 3 other frigates, usually like interceptors or assault frigates, going alongside me. I can only like most of them because I was being all careful. So as I'm going, watching as I'm moving around, constantly going past me, there's like assault frigates, interceptors just beelining it. So I was like, all right, well.
Questions from Lucky Strike 3 says, Lucky Strike says, does it send you through nullsec?
I have not yet been sent to nullsec, but I have been told by people it does.
Yeah. Dragon Teeth says, I had to go through nullsec to avoid some camped low-sec gates. So that's another reason you might end up in nullsec, is just to run around a low-sec bottleneck that's camped out too hard.
That's a good point. Any of those, if you see something that might be a bottleneck, you can always put it as a set to avoid, and it'll try to reroute you around.
Yeah. The north route, the third part, goes through nullsec, so there you go.
Mm-hmm.
Nullsec isn't bad. They have the advantage of having really effective gate camps because they can literally just bubble and then take their time and kill you because you get stuck. So
that's why you use an interceptor. Make sure to use an interceptor that has in the show description, it says that it will stop bubbles. Let's see the exact text. Hold on. You are looking for the trait immune to interdiction sphere launcher, warp disruption field generator, mobile small, medium, and large warp disruptors. That is on half of the interceptors, one of the subsystems of T3 cruisers, and on the luxury yacht. So if you're in one of those 3 ships, then you don't have to worry about bubbles.
You're immune to them.
Mm-hmm.
Can you use your Tengu? Yes, if you.
Yes.
Well, you can use any ship you want, but that's the one you'll survive in.
Yeah, like I said, all of the T3 cruisers have an interdiction nullification subsystem that allows them to ignore bubbles. So the Mechios graveyard, which is where I'm at right now, it is very foggy here, so it's hard to see. But one of the things that's important about this place is that, so this is Mechios, which is a planet in Sorum Prime. It's important because it is the birthplace of Jamil Sorum. So the idea is that the scariest fleet to have ever threatened Amar's homeworld, the Elder Fleet, which is a combination of the Mimitar Republic naval fleet and the Thucker Mix, like a secret war cache that they had been developing. They attacked into Amar space and made it all the way to Sorum Prime, just near the Amar home planet. And out of nowhere comes Jamil with her Abaddon, and she uses a super weapon, which you can see right here, and destroyed the entire Mimitar fleet, Titan and all, in a single shot. And up until this point, everybody thought she was dead. So this event was deemed a miracle of God. She was crowned Empress of Amar. And again, this is all stuff that's from a combination of Empyrean Age and Templar 1.
That's actually depicted in a trailer as well. That super weapon.
Yes.
And that exact incident is part of a teaser. I'll dig it up.
And actually, it's the Empyrean Age trailer. We could also show off, if you want to, I just finished my first pass of the Who Are the Drifters video, which I'm hoping to publish here within the next couple of days for realsies. But I use that footage in that too, of course, because that moment is pretty important to that story.
Yeah, that's really cool. I haven't been to that graveyard yet. Whoa.
Well, they just redid it. This was part of
the sound on. Go ahead.
They redid the Mekios graveyard as part of, and this statue to Jamil is actually new too. I didn't even know that this statue existed until I just got here.
Anything about that? I thought that was coming a lot later. That's amazing that's already there.
Yep,
it's a big. She looks a bit different.
And this is why I'm saying, like,
can you go close on her face because she looks different than her depictions? I guess it's a statue, so it'll always look a little different, but. Oh, look at you can see the plates. Those plates must be as big as an entire city. Yeah, she's got a different look, maybe.
Well, there's also there's footage of her on like her coronation is also a video, and obviously when she's assassinated, they show her there.
Well,
too.
her coronation, when you see the coronation, you're actually seeing a portrait of her, and they attach a voice to that. She's not moving her.
Right.
And that portrait was available to the public. So that's usually what we think of. And it's a very beautiful older woman, younger now
She's also depicted in the opening of Dust 514.
That's right.
Because she's talking with her.
She looks different there too.
Agent.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, she got cloned, so maybe.
Hey, that's an ugly clone you're wearing.
Wow.
Yeah, I won't go there. You know what I will do, though, is I'll show you this video while you move around to your next spot. Let's actually see this here. This is going to be the Empyrean Age trailer. But what's interesting about this is every one of these incidences that are seen in this trailer are actually part of the book. So these are all 3 different things going on. Maybe I won't show the whole thing.
Yeah, they're critical events to the book, but the Jamil section is the final, like the last 15 seconds of the footage.
Yeah, here it is. And we'll see that now. Without volume because actually I'll just lower the volume.
Thing I didn't realize was just how long that book is. There's a lot.
Yeah.
I think it's a lot longer than Templar 1. I'm not sure.
Here you go.
Welcome to the Empyrean Age.
Hey, that was 2008. Looked pretty good back then.
Somebody asked if that monument existed. Yes. So again, the Mekios graveyard already existed, but it was basically just a bunch of random or it was like a little Rex and stuff. They went through and
Enhanced
polished it up and added the statue.
They did that.
This.
They did that recently.
Yeah, it was part of the same patch. It's in the patch notes that the Mechios graveyard got an overhaul. It's just that oftentimes people confuse the Mechios graveyard with the Moli Cemetery. Moli Cemetery is real life players. Mechios graveyard is in-game lore stuff.
Yeah. All right. Well, how far are you from your last destination, or?
Oh, I don't even think
you're on an
my
eternal
last
trip. Okay. Well, we've seen you pick up 2 or 3 of those green dots there.
Yeah, I think I've done like 5 different sites since I've been here. 5 or 6.
It's cool.
So,
we're gonna actually save M2. Maybe we'll talk about it this weekend. Maybe we'll talk about it on Monday. But we're out of time. In the next few minutes, we're going to be going to the all-new Open Comms show.
Before we bounce out, I did want to cover a couple of the other news notes real quick.
Oh, yeah. Go ahead. We're not leaving yet. I'm just telling you where we're going to go in a few minutes. They have a few minutes set up. But go ahead. What else we got?
Sure. So today actually was a lot of news when it came to like CCP communicating things. We got actually a brand new news portal, which doesn't actually do anything besides rearrange the deck, as it were. Like there's nothing. There's no new, there's still no portal to the fiction portal or anything like that on there. It's just a different way of organizing the news, like their official blogs and stuff. The same thing that's on the launcher. They also updated the partner program. So they actually put out a list of all of the partners that are currently part of the partner program and expanded it a bit and added affiliate partnership stuff that I'm not 100% I even understand it yet. And then there was something else too. Hold on. Oh, one of the weird things was that yesterday they announced that there's new mixed dimension statues. So they added the Sisters of Eve ships to the mixed dimension so you can buy the physical models. But for some reason, that news article is actually missing on the new news website. If you go to the news website update, which announces the news, you can see that it's one of the things on the screenshot, but when you actually go to the news website, it's not there at all, which is really bizarre.
Yeah. By the way, here's a
either way,
partnership program announcement is for the public, not for partners. And this basically tells you who's a partner and where you can find them.
And then also we have the Federation Navy police skins are available in the store again. And the newest Proving Conduit, which is the Interceptors, is live for this weekend.
Let's look at that. It'll be here on sale. Those are skins, right? I mean, of course they are, but I don't know if I see a...
What?
I'm looking at the store outside the game. I think those are inside the game.
Oh, the police ones?
Yeah.
Yeah, those are available in the NES or the New Eden store in game. So here, I'll pull it up. You can see there's a bunch of police skins right now. So just word to the wise, these are being sold again, and they'll probably be sold again. So I saw some people online complaining because it's like, oh, they're selling these and they were supposed to only sell them once. I don't remember them ever saying that they're only going to sell them once, and they've sold police skins multiple times. So if you like it, get it. This is not one of those ones that are going to just run away, continue to increase in value, because they probably will sell them again. But they are really good.
Although those Eros Blossom skins, I don't know if those have come around. They probably should have come around by now, but they didn't. And those are worth billions.
I should leave.
Each. Yeah, you're just drifting in space.
Yeah, they those you actually pointed out those were a Valentine's Day skin, but then when they started coming out with the
Heart Surge,
they stopped selling the other one. So while they sold that other one twice, they didn't sell it the last couple of years. So that Eros Blossom looks like it's going to continue to get value, at least for another year.
Yeah. And I don't know if you guys saw, we had a show this morning called the European Show. It happens Tuesdays and Fridays, and we talk about the game industry more so than EVE Online specifically. But in that, we were talking about items that were unique, basically collector's item in EVE and or in digital media in general. And so that was kind of an interesting trip. Talking about how the rarity and how you can make something rare by making it unique and all this stuff, and how that's worth more, and how games are looking to utilize that. Not just games, but anything else. I don't know much about it.
This has seen a major uprise in popularity within the last couple of weeks. With what's called So there's this new. It has been the idea of Bitcoin and blockchain and all that kind of stuff has a new hotness, which is called NFT, non-fungible trading. So basically, you can have a copy of you can have the digital copy of a CD, or you can have a digital copy of the CD with a special encoding that is attached to a crypto or like a blockchain type system that validates that copy is the copy and your copy. So we're seeing this happen with a lot of artists nowadays, in particular. But that idea of the collector's item, the limited run copy, the certificate of authenticity, has kind of resurfaced through cryptocurrency type technology. One of the earliest adopters of this was a thing called CryptoKitties, which was a blockchain based system where these kitties were born by the system, and then you could buy them and then breed them to make new ones. But each one of them was unique.
Purebred electronic cats. That's wild. That means that
thousands of dollars for a single one of them.
That tells me concentration of money is too tight. Like, you need to spread that out. Because if you can afford an electronic purebred kitten, you're probably looking for things to buy.
The weirdest thing about it, though, is, especially in that case, is that in that point, you don't actually own the image of the kitten. The company does. So that's why they can show the kitten, like any kitten that gets generated through their system. You don't own it at all. All you own is the code that specifies effectively the genetic detail that makes your kitten look the way it does, but not the image that would come from that.
Oh,
it's weird.
Remarkable.
The world is weird, and people have way too much money, and they're like, literally, Logan Paul has made millions of dollars selling non-fungible trading, literally nothings.
Yeah. Here it is. Haggis says a piece of digital art just sold for $68 million. I didn't know that. Crazy.
All it is it is a digital equivalent of a physical certificate of authenticity. So
for a thing that may or may not exist, I guess not exist.
Well, the weird thing about it is, like I said, you can get. So one of the ones that they did was some musician sold like the first run of an album. So if you buy this, if you got it, then you would have the NFT that says that you own the original of this song, of this CD. Everybody else could still just listen to the music on Spotify like everybody else, just like if you had the original of the CD or whatever that was minted. But basically, you just now have a digital agreement with a bunch of other people that says that you have it and that you've spent a lot of money to get it. It's super weird.
Well, it works out for, I can imagine that works out for the music industry. That works out for artistry, right? Because it helps the patronage, right? That you love something so much.
Taco Bell just sold NFT images.
Taco Bell? What the hell? What?
Yeah.
For what?
Yep. And
the first burrito?
So they not no they're like they're pictures. They're like art. So, but they sold these I think it was like a dozen NFTs, and they immediately resold and resold and like they're gaining value. It's nuts.
That's crazy.
And it's literally nothing. Basically, here's the thing. The problem is that Bitcoin is what's called fungible, right? So if I have one Bitcoin and I trade it in for another Bitcoin, the two Bitcoins are effectively identical. There's no reason why one is different than the other. So if you think about it, these NFTs are effectively Bitcoins that are attached to something else that makes them unique. That's why they're called non-fungible tokens. You can't just like, I can't trade in my NFT for your NFT and have it be the same thing, because my NFT represents some CD and your NFT represents a Taco Bell art piece. So even though they're both one NFT, they're different, and therefore they have different value. And so this is like the next generation of cryptocurrency past like Bitcoin or whatever. It's the idea that they want non-fungible tokens to be traded.
Well, I got a Titan bridge to sell you, and Delve if you want to send some money to TIS.
That is one of the interesting ideas, is that like you could sell something that would like, what if they sold 100 full access passes, and then anybody who has that non-fungible token can just go into any Taco Bell and get free Taco Bell. That's something. And only so many people get to have that, and you could sell it, or you could resell it on the market or whatever.
Yeah. All right. Well, listen, we're over time. We're going to go over to open comms now with Drayden and Dominarch. I kept thinking.
Excellent.
Okay. Yeah. Hang out with those guys, and we will see you next week on Talking in Stations. Don't forget to tune in Sunday for the
Sunday
weekend show. Thanks, Ash, for taking us on a tour. We'll see you later.